Hello everybody, this is Ian here, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. So I'm not going to be doing a full review on Extremis, because I don't think that I can fully judge a multi-part story based solely on one episode. It would be like judging the first episode of the War Games without seeing the other 9. You could do it, and you could review it as a first-parter, but you could truly review it until you'd seen the rest of the story. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to touch on Extremis, and then do a more complete review on it once the other 2 parts have aired. First, the characters. Now, this week, I thought that both Bill and Nardole were a little bit off. For example, Bill was a lot sassier than she usually is, and some of the time it felt like Stephen Moffat was writing more for Clara instead of Bill. Just take a look at some of the scenes and imagine Clara saying what Bill says, and it wouldn't really feel out of place at all. I also thought Nardole was a bit off, and he was better than he was in the other 3 Moffat stories, but I don't know. His character just felt off in this episode. I can't really describe how. The only main character who really felt in character this time was the Doctor, and Stephen Moffat did do some interesting things with the blindness. I liked the concept of the book that makes you commit suicide, and for once I actually thought that the contents of the book were something that could be conducive to suicide. Usually in TV and movies, it's something that supposedly makes you kill yourself, but when you actually learn what it is that is making people kill themselves, supposedly, it's pretty underwhelming. But it was not the case in this episode. The concept of being nothing but a simulation, well, not exactly original, was pulled off in an interesting way. I only wish they'd had more time to fully explore it. I didn't really understand the ending as well, with the Doctor emailing himself from inside the simulation, as it was a pretty big cop-out. Also didn't like the insinuation that people can't be both religious and a scientist, as if the two were incompatible, which isn't true. Overall, for a first episode, I thought that Extremis was pretty good. It had an interesting concept, but my biggest problem with it is that it just didn't really hook me until the last 15 minutes of the episode. The conflict was introduced, and it felt to me, at least, that a good bit of the episode was basically just wheel spinning. I think that the episode could have been much more compact, and it is a modern example of why Season 22 of the classic series didn't work. When a first-parter is used solely for exposition of a larger story, and that first part is an hour long, then that first part needs to have a lot of exposition that needs to be explained, or else it'll feel slow and padded. And don't believe me that this story has wheel spinning? Just take a look at the scene where the Doctor temporarily corrects his vision to read the Veritas, and tell me what impact that scene had on the rest of the story. He didn't read the Veritas and just ran away. He didn't learn anything. He saw the villain, sure, but that could have been easily accomplished in a different way. It was like 7 or 8 minutes of filler. And also, what was the point of the Doctor speaking to Nardole in the flashback sequence? There wasn't any. It was just wheel spinning. Also, speaking of the flashbacks, I thought that they were really distracting. There was a lot of stop and go, and the flashbacks were long, confusing, unnecessary, and just took me out of the story. Whenever I'd start to get invested in the story of the Veritas, I'd be pulled out of it by the flashbacks storyline, which had virtually no impact on the main storyline, and was ridiculously padded out. It could easily have been fit into maybe 3 minutes, and that could have just been the story intro or something. But it was dragged out to like 10, and it wasn't even 10 consecutive minutes. It just kept randomly appearing over the course of the episode, and really ruined the pacing, and made the episode unfocused, and I think that they are the main reason why I had so much trouble getting invested in the story. Overall, I think that Extremis, while good, could have been made a lot better if it had just been trimmed down into a tight, focused story. So, 6 out of 10 for a first part. Again, I'm not going to rate the episode individually, I'm going to rate the 3-parter as a whole, as I mentioned at the beginning. Now for the part everyone is waiting for, the vault. It was Missy all along! How dull. The reveal was shocking in all the wrong ways. The entire thing got hyped up beyond belief, and then it was literally the most predictable thing that could have possibly been inside the vault. In fact, it was so predictable that it became unpredictable. When that was revealed, I was just like, really? That's what's in the vault? Seriously? It was just really disappointing. So yeah, the vault was a massive failure as a story arc, but for now we'll see what happens in the other 2 parts of this story. See you then.